This is another Debate Talk for You radio public announcement. The views and opinions expressed by individuals on this platform, the callers plus invited guests, are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with this brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Ashe, beautiful people. This is Reese Roberts. I am the host of the Entertain the Thought podcast on SoundCloud, and I want to give a tremendous shout out to Sal and Debate Talk for You Radio for providing a space where like-minded people can really come together and discuss the true state of our community as melanated people. I really want to thank you, Sal, for providing this service to the community and also for providing us access to information. That's one thing that's truly assisting us in our progression as a community of people, and it's just invaluable, the service that you provide with your shows and all of your productions. Thank you so much for being who you are. Peace, love, and light from Reese Roberts.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio.
Shalom, shalom, Mishpacha Wahabarim. Welcome to another edition of the second quarter here on Debate Talk for You. I want to say, Kol Tehalim, Kol Kabol, Wahati Feret, Le Yahweh, Abinu Eloheinu. And that is, I want to say all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, our Father, our Elohim. Tonight, if Blog Talk doesn't get in the way, Most High willing, he helps smooth everything out with the technical difficulties here. We have a special kind of a dialogue I wanted to do in this lesson, in this topic. Pretty much it's going to be laid back. It's not going to be a hard-hitting lesson, but it's one that I hope edifies, uplifts, encourages, and provokes you to go back to the Most High Yahweh, seek for a sound conclusion, and to get you to look internally, self-examine, and look at some things and get our hearts and minds renewed and make sure our hearts and minds want to be in tune and are aligned with the Father. So it's going to be something that would benefit us all to look at and re-examine and re-inspect. So thank you all for tuning in now, and for those who will tune in later, to the Most High be the glory. B.A., my co-host, you want to come in and formally say something, introduce yourself?
Greetings. All praises due to the Most High God. Most definitely been looking forward to this conversation with Mother Phillips and Shan-T, you know what I'm saying? So, for me, this is something I'm going to sit back and listen. It's spoken in the prophets, and the Psalms, and the Proverbs as well. As always, it says to be slow to speak when you're amongst your elders. So I'm most definitely going to sit back and enjoy this one, and I'm most high willing to be edified and chime in every so often when I'm given opportunity. So I'm going to just sit back and allow you guys to go ahead and dialogue and build the word.
All right. So I did not mention Mother Phillips was coming on because she's not actually coming on. So I apologize for that, Brother B.A. Please keep Sister Angela Malaka in your prayers. She was supposed to be on with us tonight. However, taking care of home and taking care of health is most important. So I did not mention her because, she's not going to be here, unfortunately, tonight. She is definitely here with us in spirit. And so, Sal, before we get right into tonight's discussion, do you have any upcoming events on Debate Talk for You that you'd like to go ahead and promote and advertise?
Well, as always, check us out Monday to Friday. Tomorrow we got the pre-debate going on. We have a pre-debate special between Amayan and Devoted to Yah. They're going to have a pre-debate tomorrow. Make sure you tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The official debate is going to go down next week, Friday. But the title of that debate is Yeshua the Most High? Is Yeshua the Most High? You want to check that out right here on Debate Talk Radio tomorrow, the pre-debate.
That should be very interesting. Very.
Right. All right. So, I want to say the title of this lesson here, this conversation, this dialogue: Israel's issues with idolatry. Israel's issues with idolatry, and I definitely would have loved to have Sister Angela, Mother Malaka here, because her and I were talking about some things a couple of months ago, and we actually saw some of the revelation be parallel, and it was a time where we came together and we actually sat and had a conversation, and we've seen a lot of the things that we both were looking at, examining, were lining up together. And Brother B.A. said the elders, I know Mother Malaka is the elder, but if 40 years old is considered an elder, then I'm an elder. But Israel's issues with idolatry. And there were a few things that Mother Malaka and I call her Malka, means queen, talking about some issues that we saw amongst the community today, and going back into the text and looking at those and seeing some of the same things that are going on today went on back then. However, we might not be privy to seeing things today how they went back then. She said there were some things that she looked at, some pride. We have an issue with pride, an issue with false worship systems, and pride, false worship systems, and just that's the totality pretty much of idolatry. But we're gonna look at some more elements and aspects that can be put into the category of idolatry as well. All right. As believers in Yeshua, as BA and I are definitely, as believers in Yeshua, believers in the renewed covenant, we definitely get accused of idolatry. We get accused of believing in Yeshua as the Messiah, as Avodah Zarah, or foreign worship, and we're going to talk about what foreign worship is in a minute. And we believe Yeshua is a prophet. We believe Yeshua is the professed Messiah that was hidden in the Tanakh, or the Old Testament, and then revealed in the renewed covenant. And I believe that accusation, it comes from a few different places, I speculate. However, it's a possibility, and I want to put out, it's a possibility we probably haven't thoroughly inspected what idolatry is from the perspective of the original covenant, the Old Testament. And so I just want to bring some things to light. Like I said, I hope this provokes you to go back and take this to the Most High in prayer, meditation, and study. Ask for the Holy Spirit to lead and guide you into the truth and to a sound conclusion. And that we actually pray for a renewed heart, a renewed mind, a renewed spirit. So I'm going to have, let's see. I'm going to start off with, Ezekiel. When Mother Malka was informing me of her dream, I immediately went to this chapter here. All right, B.A., can you hear me?
Yeah, most def.
All right. So, Ezekiel chapter 34.
All right.
Let's see. let me tell you where to go to. Actually,
you there?
let's read. Let's read for a while. I'm gonna have you read for a while.
All right.
All right. Let's see. Start from verse 1 and read all the way up to verse 17.
All right.
Now.
And we're reading Ezekiel 34. And we're going to pick up at verse 1. I'm reading from the Interlinear Bible, the Hebrew, Greek, and English, the big blue one. And it reads, "And the word of Jehovah was to me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, to the shepherds, so says the Lord Yahweh, woe to the shepherds of Israel who are feeding themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flock? You eat the fat and clothe yourselves with the wool. You sacrifice the fat ones, and you do not feed the flock. For I have not made the weak strong, and you have not healed the sick, and you have not bound up the broken, and the banished have not been brought back, and you have not sought the lost, but you rule them in force with harshness. And they were scattered for lack of the shepherd, and they became food to all the beasts of the field. When they were scattered, my sheep, verse 6, my sheep strayed through all the mountains and on every high hill, and my sheep were scattered on all the face of the earth, and none searched and none sought for them. For this reason, shepherds hear the word of Jehovah. As I live, declares the Lord Jehovah, surely because my sheep became a prey, and my sheep became food for all the beasts of the field, from not having a shepherd, and because my shepherds did not search for my sheep, but the shepherds fed themselves, and did not feed the flock. Therefore, O shepherds, hear the word of Jehovah. So says the Lord Jehovah, behold, I am against the shepherds, and I will require my sheep from their hand, and cause them to cease from pasturing the sheep, and the shepherds shall no longer feed themselves. For I will deliver my sheep from their mouths, and they will not be food to devour. For so says the Lord Jehovah, behold, myself will search for my sheep, and seek them out, as a shepherd seeks his flock, in the day that he is among his scattered sheep. So I will seek out my sheep, and will deliver them from all the places where they were scattered. In the day of the cloud, in the thick cloud, and I will bring them out from the people, and gather them from the lands, and will bring them to their land, and feed them on the mountains of Israel, by the ravines, and all the dwelling places of the land. I will feed them in a good pasture, and on the high mountains of Israel their fold shall be. They shall lie there in a good fold, and they shall feed in a fat pasture. And all the mountains of Israel, I will feed my shepherds. I will make them lie down, declare the Lord Jehovah. I will seek the lost, and I will return the banished, and I will bind up the broken, and I will make the weak strong, but I will destroy the fat and the strong. I will feed them with judgment. And you, my flock, so says the Lord Jehovah, behold, I judge between lamb and lamb, between rams and goats, and he-goats, rather. That's 17.
All right. So when you got to verse 17, it says, I, Yahweh, I'm judging between sheep and sheep, between ram and goat. And Brother Malcolm was saying something to the extent of there's going to be some judgment that the Most High has between his flock, internally, his sheep. Judge between sheep and sheep. See, we believe we're all sheep of the Most High Yahweh, who is the shepherd. But there's some things that's going on amongst Israel that the Most High has to judge between us and sift through us. And some are going to be, moved to the left, some going to be moved to the right. So it pretty much that also lined up with what was it, Matthew. It says I'm going to put the goats on the right, just on the left. Let's see. Let me find it. All right. That's 25. Yep. Matthew 25, starting at verse 31, it says, "And when the Son of Adam comes in his glory, and all the set-apart messengers with him, then he shall sit on the throne of his glory, and all the nations shall be gathered before him, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd separates his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. Then the king shall say to those on his right hand, Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world." So, to the extent what you were seeing reminded me of Matthew 25 as well, and linked up with Ezekiel 34 to me, but she said there's going to be some separation between sheep and sheep. And she was telling me is that there was some things she was seeing that's going on between the brethren, between the flock, that have to be, sifted out. And when I said that BA and I are Yeshua believers, of course we get accused of being idolaters. And we believe Yeshua is Messiah. We also believe Yeshua is a prophet, speaking nothing but what the Father told him to speak, doing nothing but what the Father has tasked him to do. As he said about 7 times in the book of John, I know John chapter 7, verse 16, I come to speak only my Father's words. I don't have my own doctrine, but the one who sent me, that's whose teachings or instructions I'm relaying to you. So in order to see if believing in Yeshua as Messiah or believing in Yeshua as a prophet is idolatry, we're going to go to a couple of passages. However, for the people who believe that the Messiah has not come yet and do believe that the Messiah is to come, a good question is, when the Messiah you believe comes, are you going to have to obey him? Are you going to look at that person as a prophet? And if you're going to look at that person as a prophet, would you looking at that person as a prophet be considered idolatry? So, BA, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 13. And I'm going to have you start at verse 1.
Most there. Deuteronomy 13. Yeah, this is a classic one. Classic. The test, we like to call it. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 13. We're going to pick up at verse 1. If a prophet or a dreamer of dreams rises among you, it gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder which he foretold to you occurs, say, Let us go after other gods, which ye have not known, and let us serve him or them. You shall not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for Yahweh your God is testing you, to know if you love Yahweh your God with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall walk after Yahweh your God, and you shall fear him, and you shall keep his commandments. And you shall hear his voice, and you shall serve him. And you shall cleave to him, and that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken apostasy against Yahweh your God, who is bringing you out of the land of Egypt, and has redeemed you out of the house of slavery. to drive you out of the way in which Yahweh your God has commanded you to walk, and you shall put away evil from among your doing. Keep reading to what verse?
Keep going.
Okay. Which you have not known. I'm sorry, let me go back. Go to verse 6. If your brother, your mother, son or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend who is your own soul, shall entice you secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, you and your fathers, of the gods of the people who are around you, who are near you, or who are far off from you, from one end of the earth even to the other end of the earth, you shall not consent to him, nor listen to him, nor shall your eye have pity on him, nor shall you spare nor hide him. But you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and the hand of all the people last. And you shall stone him with stones, and he shall die, for he shall sought to drive you away from Jehovah your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slaves. And all of Israel shall hear and fear, and shall not again do any such wicked thing as this among you.
Pause. All right. Pause. Question, BA. Considering what you just read, Yeshua, if he's a prophet, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he came teaching, did he entice any of the people to go away from Yahweh?
Nope.
No. You sure?
I'm positive.
All right. Now, can you read Deuteronomy 18, verses 18 to 22?
18 to 22.
Mm-hmm.
And it reads, verse 18, let me see. I shall rise up a prophet to them from among their brethren. Like you, I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I shall command him. And it shall be, whoever will not listen to my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it at his hand. But the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name, that which I have not commanded him to speak, and who speaks in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. Even if you say in your heart, how shall we know the word which Jehovah has not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of Jehovah or Yahweh, if the thing does not happen or come about, that is the thing which Jehovah has not spoken, the prophet has spoken it proudly, you shall not be afraid of him.
All right. So, I know some people don't equate Deuteronomy 18, verses 18 to 22 to Yeshua, but we do. We believe he fits that. All right? Now, let me ask you, B.A., do you believe that Yeshua is a created being?
Do I believe that Yeshua is a created being? I believe him in the flesh is a created being. Yeshua himself was created because he came through Mary. So I believe that he was created in that sense.
Okay. But in the spiritual sense, you believe that the spiritual aspect was already here from the beginning, would you say? Okay.
Exactly.
Now, I want to have something to line up with what you just said, or what we just brought out a little bit. So, we don't believe Yeshua is a created being, meaning that essence, that image was always there from the beginning, but the flesh was there later. The flesh, has to be created through spirit and flesh to come through. But let's go to Proverbs 8.
Proverbs 8. Let's go to Kings. Go to Solomon and see what the homeboy Solomon got to say. the wisest of all time. Let's see, the son of David.
No, I want you to go to Proverbs.
So Proverbs chapter 8. What verse?
Yeah. Let's see. Let's start from let's just start from verse 22.
22. Yeah, I know exactly where you're going. All
Mhm.
right. Because those who, I'm sorry, excuse me, my fault. 22, and it reads, oh, okay, wrong spot. Okay. Jehovah possessed me in the beginning of his way. From then, before his works, I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning before the earth ever was. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no springs heavy with water, before the mountains were settled, before the hills I was brought forth, before he had made the earth and the fields or the highest parts of the dust of the world, when he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a circle on the face of the deep, when he set the clouds above, when he made the strong fountains of the deep, when he gave to the sea its limits, that the waters should not go beyond his commandments, when he declared the foundations of the earth. That's 30.
Keep reading.
All right. Then I was at his side like a master workman, and I was his delight day by day, rejoicing before him at every time, rejoicing in the world. His earth and my delight were with the sons of men.
Pause.
And now,
right. So pause. So verse 30 says, "There I was beside him, a master workman." There I was beside him. Let's go somewhere. I think you know where I may be going, but I don't know. Isaiah 48.
Most deaf. Yeah. Let me guess. You want to? Could I? Let me just pick it up because I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah. Of course.
Let's go to verse 16, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it reads, most definitely, amen. Come near to me. I'm sorry. Lost my okay. Come near to me. Hear this. I have not spoken in secret from the beginning. From its being, I was there. And now the Lord Jehovah in his spirit has sent me. So says Jehovah your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. I am Jehovah your God, who teaches you to profit, who leads you in the way you should go. Keep going.
Actually, read one more verse.
18. Oh, that you had listened to my commandments, then your peace would have been like the river of your righteousness, like the waves of the sea.
Right. So, we believe that this essence was there, equated to wisdom, since the beginning. Now, we know wisdom is personified as a woman because it's known as a feminine type word in the Hebrew language. However, what the writers have done is personify Chokmah, wisdom, as a woman because that word is in the feminine in the Hebrew language. But if you go back and read Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha, if you read chapter 6, chapter 7, chapters 9 and 10, you'll see how wisdom was there in the beginning, and then how, we understand that the essence of the Messiah, or the essence of that prophet, likened unto Moses, was there in the beginning, just not manifested yet in the flesh, until he came on the scene, manifested in the flesh, right? So we do believe that we do believe that Yeshua is Messiah. We don't believe that our belief in Yeshua can be equated to idolatry. We believe he is a prophet. And if we believe he is a prophet, so said the Samaritan woman in John chapter 4, right?
Mm.
And because of the fact that he did not actually get us to stray from the Most High Yahweh, he actually was trying to get us back in line with the stipulations of the covenant. He was trying to give us the complete, full understanding and establish it so that we can actually come back to the covenant through him. Through him. Right?
Mm.
So, we're going to start talking about images now. But before I get to images and before we really get into the meat and potatoes of this thing, B.A., could you read Genesis chapter 1, verse 26?
Most deaf. Let's tap into the scribe of Moses to see what they had to say. Let's tap in. Genesis chapter 1, and we're going to go to verse 26. And Elohim, or God, said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the cattle, and all over the earth, and over all the creepers creeping on the earth."
Right. So, the Most High said, let us create mankind, human being,
Exactly.
in our image. Male and female is them. Also, Genesis 5 says the same thing. So, in the image, in our image, you have your Strong's Concordance on you, DA, or no?
Yes, I sure do.
Okay. Could you read 6754 in the Hebrew? We're going to look at image.
6754. All right. Six, 754. The word is Teslim. Teslim. Selim. Yeah. Excuse my Hebrew. I know it's kind of horrible, but it reads to shade, a phantom, illusion, resemblance, hence a representative, figurative image.
So hence a representative figure. Hence a representative figure. Right?
Exactly.
Okay, keep reading.
It says image. And it also reads, now it's getting into the definitions, like the sentences, what it could mean. The word means image in the sense of an essential nature. Human nature in its eternal and external characteristics rather than an exact duplicate. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image and called his name Seth.
Right. So let me ask you this, B.A. Does any of the Strong's Concordance or the Brown Driver and Briggs, maybe, after it says a representative figure, does it say anything else that the image could be?
It also says in the Strong's, it says a representative figure, an idol.
An idol?
Yeah.
Okay. So, are you and I, B.A., as human beings, as mankind, idols?
Are we idols? Now that I'm looking at this word, I would have to say, in that sense, I wouldn't say that we're idols in the negative, how people would look at that. But if we're created in His image, I wouldn't say I was an idol. I'm a representation of the Most High, but I'm not Him.
Right.
It only becomes idolatry if I say I'm Him, or if I proclaim that I'm better than Him, or based on my actions. Like when we, like an example, when you read in Exodus, what is that, 23?
Mhm.
And if you don't mind, let me get to it real quick. I just want to read from the King James. I got to.
You going to Exodus 23?
Exodus 23.
Okay.
And it reads in verse 13, and in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of names of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth. So, in other words, that we know that word mention in the Hebrew means zakar. It means to know. So when you put yourself, or when you put something else in your mind above the Most High, the Father, that becomes idolatry.
Absolutely. So it's pretty much the intent to which you're placing this image in, right?
Exactly.
It's the spark or animator or driving force to which you have this likeness at your disposal, right?
Exactly.
Okay. That leads into a very good passage. And you explained it very nicely of what idolatry is, but you also explained how we are in the image or likeness or representatives of the Most High, right? When we're made as human beings, humankind, we're in the image of the Most High, we're in that likeness. We're not exact, but we're like. But the intent, right, the intent to which the Most High made humankind was for His glory, correct?
Exactly.
So everything we do, everything we say, the behaviors we exude and exhibit are supposed to actually glorify and magnify and show that we belong to Yahweh as our Elohim, correct?
Exactly.
All right.
If you mind, can I interject real quick?
Go ahead.
And another thing, when it also says that man and woman or the human being is created in the image of the Most High, what we do see here, let me just read something real quick. Let's go to verse 26 in Genesis chapter 1. And look at see, let's pay attention to this, because this is what I noticed. This is something I had to look at. And God said, let us make man in our image according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, over all the cattle, over all the earth, and over all the creeping on the earth. So we are created in His image, not because it's deeper than just looking like Him. It's more to that. It's the image. We are the reflection, and we are to conduct and act. We are to rule on earth just like the Father rules over all, the whole universe and everything. Let me just go to one more thing. Let's go down a few verses, and we have, let's go to verse 31. Hold on. Where he says, let me see. I apologize. Verse 29. And God said, behold, I had given you every plant seed which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree seeding seed, it shall be food for you. And every living thing on earth, and every bird of the heavens, and every creeper on the earth, and which is a living soul, every green plant is for you for food. And it was so, and God saw everything that He made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was the morning, the sixth day. My point overall, and we are to be productive, to produce. You know what I'm saying? Not to be counterproductive. We are to be productive, because the Spirit of the Most High, it creates and it puts forth action. So not only does the Most High create and we put forth action, we are as well. We create and we also put forth action, and we get the benefit of it because the earth was given to us. Just want to state that.
Now, before we move on, I do want to make a statement. I do want to make a point. You know the talent show where people come onto the TV and you can sing, you can dance, you can rap, you can play your instrument. It's called American Idol, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Just like EA said, when you start putting yourself above the Most High or at the same area of the Most High, that could become idolatry. That could become avodah zarah, or foreign or strange worship, right? And we're going to talk about what avodah zarah is. But before I continue, I want to say throughout this dialogue, If anyone wants to call in with your questions, comments, and concerns during the entire conversation, you can dial 319-527-6239. Once again, 319-527-6239. Press 1 to talk, and Sal will let you in. All right, so let's go to Exodus chapter 20.
Exodus 20?
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
I'm going to have you read one verse for right now. Read verse 3. Exodus chapter 20, verse 3.
Exodus chapter 20, and we're going to pick it up at verse 3. You shall not have any other gods beside me.
Okay. You are to have no other gods beside me, or in the scriptures ISR version it says you have no other mighty ones against my face. All right. You said, Now, we're going to go into the definition, break that down of what that means. And it's not too far to see. But in the Hebrew, verse 3, it says, Lo flige lecha Elohim aharim al panei. Al panaya. So not shall you have for yourself Elohim, gods of the deity of the powers, mighty ones, other than, another, or other, right? Before my face, before me, right? So we're going to read what that means, DA. What it means to not have any other gods, mighty ones, before the Most High. And for one, I know that definitely means that there are other Elohim, if you understand what Elohim are, right? Elohim are mighty ones, rulers, judges, powers, deity, right? Okay, so read Exodus chapter 20, 4 to 6.
And it reads, You shall not make a graven image for yourself of any likeness, which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. Ye shall not bow to them, and ye shall not serve them, for I am Yahweh, your God, a jealous God, visiting the iniquities of the fathers on the children, on the third and the fourth generation, to those that hate me. Read 6.
Yes.
And doing kindness to thousands to those loving me, and to those keeping my commandments, or guarding or protecting.
All right, so in verse 4 it says, in the scriptures ISR, you do not make for yourself a carved image. A carved image is pretty much a facet. And I'm going to have B.A. read that for me. H6459, real quick.
6459.
Mm-hmm.
And it reads, Pexel.
Mm-hmm.
And it reads, engraven image, carved image, graven.
Okay, so an idol, an image, an idol, a carved or graven image, right?
Exactly, yeah, an idol, graven image, carved image, graven, and that's what all it has in the concordance. But it mentions the Brown, Drivers, and Briggs lexicon as well, 820D in that section.
Okay. So in verse 4, it says a carved image, right? You shall not have this. Don't make it for yourself. Now, in verse 5, it explains what you do not do, or what's the intent, right, for which you should not do. Right? Read that in verse 5.
Verse 5. And it reads, you shall not bow to them, and you shall not serve them. For I am Yahweh your God, a jealous God, visiting the iniquities of the fathers on the children, and on the third, on the fourth generation, to those that hate me, and doing kindness to the thousands to those loving me and those keeping my commandments.
All right. So, real quick, it says you should not bow down to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't bow down to them and don't serve them. So the Most High says don't have a carved or graven image for the intention of bowing down to them or serving them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at bowing down or serving them. All right, so let's have you read your concordance out. Let's look at H7812.
7812.
Mm-hmm. And then we have a question after I'm going to get you to read a couple of things in the chat. But go ahead and read H7812. And this is when the Father says, "Do not bow down to them." We're going to look at what bow down is in the Hebrew and what it means.
Shakar.
Mm-hmm.
And it reads, to depress, prostrate, in homage to royalty or God, worship, bow down, obeisance, if that's right. Yeah, obeisance. Reverence, reverence, we know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Fall down, themselves, stoop, crouch. The act of bowing down in homage to an inferior, before a superior ruler, before a social or economic superior to whom one bows. It is the common term for coming before God in worship. Other gods and idols are also the object of such worship by one prostrating oneself before them.
Mm-hmm. So, when you worship, and the Hebrew language explains things in actions more concrete, when you're prostrating, you're paying homage or giving reverence or obeisance to some being that's superior. All right? So when you're doing that, the way to do that is you serve, right? You serve. Now let's look at H5647. The way you worship is you're serving, right? Let's look at H5647, and we'll have BA read that.
You said, repeat the number again?
H5647.
5647, okay. 5647. 5647. Abad.
You still there, BA?
Yep. Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You just said abad.
Okay.
And okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Abad.
5647. Abad.
Mm-hmm.
And it reads, to work, to serve, till, enslave, serve, do, till, servant, work, worshipers, service, dress, labor, be keep in bondage, be bondman, bond service, compel, execute, husbandman, keep, be wroth. Abide as a verb means to serve, cultivate, enslave, work. The verb is first used in Genesis 2 and 5. And there was not a man to till the ground. Want me to keep going or just stop?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. God gave to man the task to dress the ground. In Genesis 14, they serve Shedalomer, means that they were his vassals. The third definition. God told Abraham that his descendants would serve people, the people of a strange land, 400 years. And he said unto Abram, know of surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall inflict them 400 years.
All right. So when you worship, right, You're bowing down, you're prostrating, you're pretty much doing a service, which is a labor, work, or a deed, right? And these are actions, behaviors, or practices, right? And when we do these actions, behaviors, practices, we're actually paying homage to the being that we believe is superior. We're actually doing obeisance to the deity or power of Elohim Yahweh. Right?
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
No, I'm sorry. Finish up real quick. That's my apologies. Finish up.
You gonna remember what you're gonna ask?
I remember it.
Okay. So this is why in Exodus chapter 20, verses 4 to 6, the Most High is saying, don't make yourself a carved image, because you're not supposed to bow down, you're not supposed to prostrate, you're not supposed to show your servitude to this other being than me. You don't need to see an image. I'm invisible, right? And Exodus chapter 20 shows that the Most High is the invisible. That's where we're supposed to have faith at. Every other nation, every other people, yeah, they have deities and mighty ones that you can visibly see. But your faith is going to come from knowing I'm there and I'm not visible. So therefore, don't make no other image to bow down to it, to serve it like it's me. That's rule number one, not to do. Don't have any other Elohim against my face or before me for the intentions of worshiping and serving it. Because from those other deities, you did not come. Those other deities, those other Elohim, they did not create you. They did not form you. All right? B.A., go ahead.
Now, when we see that word serve or bow down, it also means, would you agree that when you are being overworked on the job, would you consider that idolatry?
No, that's Malakah. Malakah would be occupational work for money.
Okay. So let's.
Now,
What?
Now, Exodus 21, we got Exodus 21 and Leviticus 25 we're going to go into later. But Exodus 21, these are the stipulations for when you get a Hebrew servant, right? When you get a Hebrew servant, that means you're becoming an employer, and that servant is now an employee. And then there's stipulations for how you're supposed to treat an employee or a Hebrew servant.
Most deaf. I was asking for clarification because I know some people, I've heard in certain conversations that when you do nothing but get worked and you just live to work, that also can be a sign of idolatry. I've heard various conversations about that, and I thought that was very interesting.
It could be. It could be. It could. Yeah, that could definitely be a form of idolatry, BA, because when you're overworking yourself and making the result of what you're going to get from working as a god, like you got to have it, and you're not trusting in the Most High, you're just being greedy, you're being abusive to you're being abusive to the opportunity to be employed or get money, just work. Yeah, that could be a form of idolatry, because if you put something over the Most High, or if you put something in higher importance than what it should be, that definitely could be a form of idolatry. It's the intent for which you're working, right? It's the intent for which you're doing things.
Your motives, your actions. Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly. I know in, Deuteronomy 8, it's the Most High who gives you the strength and the opportunity to get wealth, right?
Exactly.
So if you work 30 to 40 hours a week, and don't overwork yourself and just trust the Most High and not be greedy, you're going to have everything you need to sustain yourself and take care of yourself. All right, so that could be looked at as another form of idolatry. There was a question. There was a question, BA, that somebody posed, and they said, "Can you show the term human in Scripture?" Can we show human in Scripture? And I will say this because mankind or human being is the same thing. Mankind and human being is the same thing. So let's go back to Genesis 1:26.
Is there a follow-up? Is there a follow-up question to that as well, or is that just somebody clearly asking, could we find the word human? Literally.
Yeah, we could definitely find the word human. We can. I'm going to go to one more place after this, but just going to show them. I think it was from Genesis 1:26 that sparked it a little bit, because I did say when I said let us make man in our image.
Mm-hmm.
I said mankind, human being, right? So I want you to read that verse again, BA, and then look up the word for man in the Hebrew. I'll tell you what number. I'll tell you what number it is if you need me to.
Yep, 26. And God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them." That should be the end of this, but let's just keep going. "And let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over all the creepers creeping on the earth." That's simple. But let's continue to really, really examine what these words mean. What you got in the concordance?
Okay, so let's go to where is it? H120.
120.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Adam. I know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You just know what Adam means, and also let's read it in the Greek.
Yeah, I've.
You got it in the Greek?
Hold on for a second. Let me address it. Let me read it in the Hebrew. Then we'll go over to the Greek.
Yeah.
All right. The number is 120 in the Hebrew section of Strong's, and this is what we have: a human being.
So what?
A human being. An individual, or the species, mankind. I think that answers the brother or the sister's question who asked that question. I think that's their answer. Well, let's go to the Greek. Let's see what we have in the Greek. Let me see. Okay, and we have in the Greek. Excuse me, apologize. Is it 444? I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is it. Yeah.
It's anthropos.
Yeah, anthropos. That's in the Septuagint. But let's keep going.
Yeah.
Most def. 444 rather. Hold on. Okay, I went over a few pages. All right, and we have anthropos. And it reads man face, a human being, man. Anthropos is used generally of a human being, male or female, without reference to sex or nationality. That's clear as day to me.
Now, anthropos, I know, is where we get our word anthropology from.
Exactly.
You know what anthropology means, B.A.?
Anthropology, is that the study of, and I may be wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong on this. Is that the study of the human body, I believe?
That's anatomy, but the study anthropology, so ology would be the study of, and then anthropo, the study of humankind, mankind, human being. anthropology.
Mm.
So hopefully that answers the question. All right. So, like I was saying, there's another word that Service alluded to when BA read it, abad. There's such word as avodah. Avodah. So I'm going to have BA read H5656 in the Hebrew real quick.
I know I'm in the Hebrew, but repeat the number.
5656.
5656.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, right there. That was quick. 5656 in the Hebrew, and that's abodah, abodah, and it reads, work of any kind, service, servile, work, bondage, serve, servitude, tillage, effect, labor, bondservant, ministering. We know ministering means to serve.
Right.
Office, use. Want me to read definition or just stop there?
No, you're good. You're good right there. So it means to serve, right? Render a labor, a work, a deed, to be in servitude, servile, right?
Exactly.
Okay, now, I said another term for idolatry is called avodah zarah. And so avodah is your worship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Zarah is H2114. And it means to be strange, foreign, loathsome of breathless participle, right? But it means to turn aside, especially for lodging, hence to be a foreigner, strange, profane.
2114?
I'm reading it. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
It means to turn aside, be a foreigner, strange, profane. Specifically, active participle to commit adultery. Right? So another term for idolatry is called avodah, which is worship. Zara, foreign or strange. So avodah zara is foreign or strange worship. Right? So we're going to see how Israel got into avodah zara and what it actually entailed. Right? So idolatry, as I was saying before, that's the intention or motivation to get into some sort of image worship, to pay homage, do obeisance, pay allegiance to, or like give a trust to some sort of created object or being instead of the true living Elohim. And so, like B.A. said, when you're overworking yourself, pretty much for the intention of just not having enough money or whatever, or it could be like some people, they want to go to work all day because they don't like going home. I've seen that before. So there's various types of idolatry. There's nature worship. You have these things that are visibly in front of you that are created to worship and serve and bow down to and like put your allegiance to. Right? There's people worship. Right? You can actually worship people like American Idol does. Like it's okay to look at people and praise people. Like I know BA has a daughter, and she was reading during Pesach, and we were clapping up, we were praising her. We were not, worshiping her like we came from her. We were not idolizing her like she was just this being that we have to be in awe of, like we came from her, but we were praising her. But the American Idol is, people worship. You're putting these people in the place of or above the Most High Yahweh Elohim, as if you came from these people, like you can't, as if you can't live without these people, like if you're gonna die, if you don't have these people in your life, you're gonna die. If you don't have this entertainment or whatnot, a lot of the songs be like, I'm gonna die without you. A lot of the love songs be like, I'm gonna die without you. And then another type is like ancestor worship, calling on dead ancestors or whatever, right? Now, I honor, like, my mother is deceased, my grandmother is deceased, and I honor them by doing what I'm doing now. But I'm not calling on them and paying homage to them like they're going to give me just the way right now and, they're looking down on me and guiding me. They're not guiding me. The Most High Yahweh is guiding me, you see. So we're going to be talking about all different types of idolatrous things that come to mind that you can think of. But BA, I know the Most High definitely tells us to stay away from idolatry. So he pretty much explained from the get-go in Exodus 20 of what it was and what and not to get into it, not to do these things, right? So there's other things that the Most High told us to do, like when we were going to the Promised Land, which was it was called Canaan, but it was originally for the Most High's people, Israel, right? So he commanded the people to destroy every facet of it, and we would also be punished for if we partook in it. And then, let's look at the punishment as if we took part in it. So let's read Leviticus 19.
Leviticus 19. That's a good example.
Leviticus 19, verse 4.
Verse 4, and it reads, "Do not turn yourself to the idols, and you shall not make molten gods for yourselves. I am Yahweh your God. And if you sacrifice a sacrifice of peace offerings to Yahweh..."
Well, you could pause right there. Just verse 4 real quick. No problem. So it says, do not turn to idols. So that word is elim, H457. That means good for nothing, vain, worthless, an idol. It has no value. It's worthless. Has no ears to hear, has no eyes to see, has no nose to smell, has no lips to talk, right? It's worthless. It's good for nothing. All right? So don't turn to idols. Don't make for yourself these molded mighty ones, like the molten calf. But molten, H4541. This was intriguing to me. It says, properly a pouring over, that is fusion of metal. By implication, a libation, that is league, concretely a coverlet, as if it's poured out, a covering. It's a molten image, the veil, right? So these molten images, they become stone-like, metals like stone-like, right? Hard, cast metal. So these images are, they're nothing. All right. Let's read. I'll come back to that one. Deuteronomy 7, verse 5.
Deuteronomy 7. Seven and 5.
We'll start from verse 4.
All right. Verse 4. And it reads, hold on for a second. Oh, okay, we go.
Nope, actually, just verse 5. My bad.
Okay. Verse 5. But you shall deal with them in this way. You shall break down their altars, dash in pieces the cut stones, and you shall cut down their pillars, and you will burn their carved images with fire.
All right, so we're going to look at pillars a little later. we're going to look at what these pillars were. So when the Most High Yahweh said, okay, you're going to the promised land, it's the land of Canaan. Over here, there's the Jebusites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, and all these ites, right? The Girgashites. He said these people, they do these abominable things in this land, but when you go to this land, you're supposed to tear all of this stuff down, right? Supposed to smash their pillars, cut down their groves and things of that nature. Burn the carved images with fire. Burn the carved images with fire. We're going to see how they would be able to burn the carved image, right? Carved. Let's see. Deuteronomy 12, 1-3. Let's read that.
Deuteronomy 12, 1-3. These are the statutes and the ordinances which you shall take heed to do in the land which Yahweh your God of your fathers has given to you to possess it in all the days you live on earth. You shall completely destroy all the places where the nations which you are dispossessing serve their gods on the high mountains and on the hills and under every leafy tree. And you shall break down their altars and shatter their standing pillars, and you shall burn their pillars with fire, and you shall cut down the carved images of their gods, and shall destroy their names out of that place.
Right. I'm going to read Deuteronomy 27, verse 15. It says, "Cursed is the man who makes a carved or molded image, an abomination to Yahweh, the work of the hands of the craftsman, and sets it up in secret. And all the people shall answer and say, Amen." Right? It's an abomination. It's a detestable, disgusting thing that the Most High hates. A carved and molded image. Why? Because, we're married to Yahweh. We'll see that in a minute. But so Deuteronomy 4. Deuteronomy 4, yeah.
That's funny because I was just looking at Deuteronomy chapter 4. I was just looking at it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna go. I wanted to end here with it before I move on to the next. So Deuteronomy chapter 4. I'm gonna have you start. Let's start at verse 12, and I'm gonna have you read to verse 19, and then I'm gonna have you skip somewhere else.
All right, verse 12. And Yahweh spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the sound of words, but did not see a form, only a voice. And he declared his covenant to you, which he has commanded you to do, the 10 Commandments, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. And Jehovah.
So verse 12, it says, "And Yahweh spoke to you out of the midst of the fire." You heard a voice, right? But you saw no form. You only heard a voice. So you don't need to have, like I said before, any other visible thing in front of you to know I'm there. This is why you're a special peculiar people of Israel, because you're supposed to have faith that I'm operating even though I'm invisible. What you going to say, BA?
I was going to say what stands out to me here. I'll just read again. I'll just say, he said, and Jehovah spoke to you, this is Moses speaking, out of the midst of the fire. So what the Most High is doing here, he is speaking. Yeah, they heard a voice, but as you can see, there is a natural element there. And the point for this, and how I understand it, is that he does not want them to get him mixed up with anything else. He wants them to respect him out of reverence. So fire is a natural element here. So fire
he exists because he's bringing the fire, right? Because he has all these things.
Exactly. So so the fire is not his form, but that's showing you, okay, he's greater. This force is beyond the fire, but this is the closest thing that we can see that tells us that we're dealing with something beyond our imagination. And notice, brothers and sisters who are listening, who are truly seeking, fire, a natural element. But keep going, sis.
It's on you. Go ahead.
Okay. Go to verse 13.
So,
And he declared his covenant to you, which he has commanded to you to do, the 10 commandments, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. And Yahweh commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and ordinances for you to do them in the land which you shall possess, you shall pass over to possess it. Therefore, you shall carefully watch over your souls, for you have not seen any likeness in the day Jehovah spoke to you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire. Remember, he misses the fire again. That you not deal corruptly and make for yourselves a graven image, a likeness of any figure, the form of a male or female, the form of any animal which is in the earth, the form of any winged bird that flies in the heavens, the form of any creeping thing on the ground, the form of any fish in the waters under the earth, and that you not lift up your eyes toward the heavens and shall see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the hosts of the heavens, and you be drawn to any and worship them and serve them, which Jehovah your God has allotted to all the peoples under all the heavens.
Right. So you're not supposed to make any likeness of male or female, beast, anything creeping on the ground, any fish in the sea, sun, moon, and stars. What's the intention? To bow down and worship them. I know we have all these, I have pictures in my house, and I have pictures of my relatives, and all this stuff. I have those because they're memories, or things to decor and make the house look nice. I don't have them with the intention of bowing down and serving them as if they were the creator, as if I came from them. That's the difference. I just want to make that clear, because I know some people will say, well, Shan-T, can we have these things in our house? Can we, have these little sculptures of, elephants, and they have little animals in their house, things of that nature. And they'll say, okay, well, if we can't have any images, well, no, you can't have images to bow down and worship and serve, right? I just wanted to make that point. Now I'm going to have B.A., if he doesn't have anything else to elaborate after that, I'm going to have him continue with Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 23 to 28.
23 to 28. It reads, take heed to yourselves that you not forget the covenant of Jehovah your God, which he has made with you, and make to yourselves a graven image, a likeness of anything which Jehovah your God has forbidden you. For Jehovah your God is a consuming fire. Go that word fire. He is a jealous God. When your father's sons and sons' sons, and you have been long in the land and have dealt corruptly and have made a graven image. Notice, he said, when you have made a graven image, a likeness of anything, and have done that which is evil in the sight of Jehovah your God, to provoke him to anger. 26.
Keep going.
I call heaven and earth to witness against you today, that you shall soon utterly perish from off the land to which you go over the Jordan to possess it. You shall not prolong your days on it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And Jehovah shall scatter you among the peoples, and you shall be left few in number among the nations to which Jehovah shall lead you away. And there you shall serve other gods, the work of man's hands. The work of man's hands. And this is less deeper than this literal as well. Wood and stone, which cannot see nor hear, nor eat nor smell. And if you shall seek Jehovah.
Pause right there. Pause. Right. Okay, so I had D.A. read Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 23 to 28. And pretty much the Most High is saying he's a jealous Elohim, because the Most High is our husband. The Most High is our husband because we took on the covenant stipulations that he brought forth brought forth to us through his voice, Exodus 20 on Mount Sinai, right? And because we said yes in Exodus 19, he said, if you come unto me, you're going to be a kingdom of priests, and I'm going to be your Elohim, because you've seen what I've done. I've brought you up out of Egypt on eagle's wings and brought you out of bondage. You're mine. So this is the agreement now, right? So if somebody has an agreement with us, like a spouse has an agreement, a spouse has a covenant, then of course the Most High is going to be jealous. He don't want nobody else to have it, right? So the Most High said, when you go to this land I'm showing you, right, and you start doing corruptly, and what do? You make carved images in the form of whatever, because there was a whole list, right, in Deuteronomy 4, 12 to 19, right? There's a whole list. Then what the Most High is going to do? He's going to perish you from the land. Captivity. Right? Then you're going to be destroyed. Then what? Going to scatter you among the people. And you shall be left few in number among the nations where he drives you, where Yahweh drives you. And then, once you're scattered to those lands, what you going to do? Verse 28, you're going to serve other Elohim of the work of men's hands. The work of men's hands. Wood and stone. Wood and stone, they see, they don't see, they don't hear, they don't eat, and they don't smell. All right?
And we also
go ahead. Yeah, you were going to say something? Go ahead.
And like the work of man's hands also means his doctrines. His other
now doctrines could be teachings, right? Are all teachings bad, or all teachings, or all dogma or instructions bad, or what's the difference here?
The difference is that when you are adhering to other gods in these teachings, and you're doing things that the Most High did not command you to do in these other doctrines or teachings.
Well, if they don't go against the Most High, like we have the laws of the land, right? We have teachings, we have measurements, we have rules, right? Those are the instructions. We have the laws of the land. Now, the laws of the land, for the most part, they do not go against the Most High, right? But
no, they
don't.
The laws of the land,
according to, go ahead.
No, because the Most High also says that respect the laws of the land. So we respect them there are laws of the land that we have to respect because a lot of them don't go against the Most High. But living in this world today, as we can see, the laws of the land are starting to go a whole another way left field. Yeah.
Right. So we respect the ones that don't go against the Most High. So that's the difference, correct? Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Before we continue, we have one caller. Praise be to the Most High. Sal, you can go ahead and let the caller in.
Hey, shalom, everybody. How y'all doing? BA and Sister Shan-T, this is Vinny D.
Yeah, I know that. Shalom,
much love. Town Biz, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing all right. Just folding these clothes right now while the kids ain't here. So, but I think I was actually waiting on this lesson because I think that people have a real misconception, mainly because of bad doctrine and fear, or a misconception of what idolatry actually is. I think we like through our doctrines, our fear, we confuse graven images with idolatry itself. And those are two totally different, separate words, And I thought it was a great point what you brought out about having images and everything, but you don't bow down to them. Because to be honest, everything is graven. Everything that we have is graven, except for anything in the nature. Everything is a graven image. Bookshelves, houses,
cars,
strollers, cars, whatever.
Shoes.
Right. It don't. Exactly, and it don't become an idol until you bow down and you start worshiping it, until it starts making you go against the laws and the instructions rather that the Most High gave us. Kind of like I don't know, I don't really want to bring out any scriptures because I don't know if you're going to touch onto them. I'd rather just wait till your lesson is over and then chime back in if you don't hit it. But I think this is a real important information that you guys are bringing out, because a lot of people, man, is really scared, And I kind of look to, you know how like the Hebrew brothers, they rock them so-called Star of David, the David stars, or the lilies, or whatever they call it, right? And then they get on Christians for rocking the cross, when they wearing it for the same purpose. You know what I'm saying? That's something that I had to get out of, like, okay, they wear a cross because they believe it represents something. They're not really bowing down to it, just like y'all rocking that star. Y'all not really bowing down to it, but y'all both point fingers at each other like, you in idolatry. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that I had to come out to. But this is a powerful lesson. Oh, go ahead, B.A.
No, I just want to say real quick, brother, and I'll let you finish.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how you brought those up, the crucifix, and you brought the brothers who wear that Star of David, the so-called Star of David, rather.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy because Moses has already judged that. He said when you are scattered, you will serve the gods of what? Wood and stone.
Wood and stone, yes.
The crucifix, because it's normally a piece of wood. And what's that little iron piece on that crucifix? Ain't that something?
Yeah.
And then that Star of David. That's all silver or some type of stone type of material. And as you can see, so the brothers who always like to condemn others, look what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, can I say this?
Crazy.
Can I say this real quick?
Go ahead.
I know the Star of David. I don't have no problem with nobody wearing the cross or the Star of David. That's for them to go, amongst the Most High and deal with and explain or whatever.
Right.
But because I have a gold chain and a little pendant that has my name on it. Now I don't put stock in these things. You know what I mean? I don't have to overwork myself so I can go get a shinier chain or a bigger pendant. I'm not kissing my chain. You know how some people like to take pictures and just flash their little jewelry. They put the one thumb in the chain and talk about look how much I got and look how much I'm shining and look how much I'm glossing and flossing and big boss. I'm not putting the stock in it. And if the brothers are not putting the stock in it, then that's one thing. But if they're putting their all in all to it, meaning if they're telling their girl to go work for it and they ain't got to work for it so they can go get these things, that could be looked at as idolatry. You know what I mean? If you're putting your trust in it, like, this is actually the meaning or definition of the star, and I can't go without it, and I have to go show these things to go evangelize and preach. That could be looked at as a form of idolatry as well. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. I know you're definitely right. You're definitely right. And just like the brothers out here, you might step on their shoes on accident or something. Blam,
Man.
You know what I'm saying? They gonna blame you, But it's and the cold part about it is, you bought them shoes. Them shoes ain't an idol. But the moment that you start following your own man-made rules over these shoes, now you done made them into an idol. Money, cars, clothes, whatever. Whatever you can, whatever rules you follow under. Money has its own, everything has its own rules, and if you follow the rules, you basically making up your own rules because they really don't got no rules. But if you follow those rules, then you are in idolatry, and a lot of people don't even see that.
So you
could condemn. Yeah, go ahead, sis.
So I know Jordans cost about $200, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know Smud and PG&E cost about the same. So say for example, if I go out and spend $200 on Jordans and neglect paying my SMUD and PG&E, is that a form of idolatry?
Mm.
Knowing I only got 200, mind you, I only got 200, and I'm on the left. On the left end, I'm over here wanting to buy this Jordans 200, and on the right end, I'm over here. I know I got to pay SMUD and PG&E 200, and I go ahead and say, okay, I'm going ahead and I'm going to go buy these Jordans, and I'm gonna just forget the SMUD and PG&E. What could that be looked like?
That could be idolatry, because when it comes to the SMUD and PG&E, that is a need. You need electricity in your household, and then the shoes. You could get that some other time. You know what I'm saying? But
you could buy it. Oh, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Go ahead, brother.
I was gonna say you could buy the same shoes at a thrift store, right? Same exact shoes at a thrift store if you can find them, right? For about $20, and then in the store you're gonna pay $200. And somebody scuff them up, bam, you got you a whole new set. You know what I mean? But it's weird. And one thing I will say, like me and my oldest daughter, kind of beefing. She going through her thing. I'm going through mine. But one thing I will say about her is she will go shop at the thrift store in a minute. You know what I'm saying? Go find some good deals. And I'm very proud of that. And I'm proud that she respects her elders. She don't keep the commandments, but she do keep the commandments, if that makes any sense. But
yeah, I understand. Most definitely.
And it's like I was gonna say one more thing, but I forgot what it was. Maybe if I think of it, I'll just chime back in. But yeah, this is an awesome lesson. Y'all putting y'all foot in it, and I'll chime back in if y'all don't if y'all don't come back on after y'all finish.
Okay.
Let me mention one more thing. Let me just mention one more thing real quick.
Yes, sir.
It really took me by surprise when I was told this years ago. Someone said to me, the Bible can become an idol as well.
Man.
Boom.
And when
that's my point too.
Yeah, and then when I had heard that, I was like, you know what? Wow, I never thought of it like that before. And the Bible most definitely can become an idol. It can.
Yeah.
When you think the Most High is just confound or bound to a book.
That's it. He goes no further. Thus saith the Lord, you shall do this, and yada, yada, yada. And if it don't say it like that, then guess what? I can't go with it. Then guess what? That is idolatry. Thus saith the Lord.
And on the physical level, too, on a physical level, it's like when you see these brothers spitting on it, shooting up the Bible, burning it and everything, you got cats that's getting real upset about that. Like, I'm going to kill you and I'm going to do this. I'm okay, man, go get you another Bible. You can get they sell them at the dollar store now.
Right.
They selling them at the dollar store. You can go get online, man. You got endless Bibles, multiple versions,
Correct.
And so, yeah, you definitely right about that, man. You definitely right about that. And it, I'm gonna just say my other point till after I because y'all might go that way with the lesson. So, yeah, but that's it. That's it for right now. But I'm still online.
Okay,
right,
definitely. Bro. Thank you, Vinny, for tuning in. Thank you for your comments. Definitely want to hear your take or your input later if we don't hit it. Definitely want to hear what you got to bring out. All right. Let's go somewhere. Idolatry. Since Israel always had an issue with idolatry, right? And there was a touching on this some months ago. I didn't touch on it, but I understood it, and I looked at it a little further, and I was like, oh, my gosh, it's crazy that we possibly may not see this. So let's go to Genesis chapter 2.
Genesis chapter 2. I wonder where exactly in Genesis chapter 2. Where you going?
Okay. Read verses 16 and 17, VA.
All right. Let's see what's up. And it reads, and Jehovah God commanded the man, saying, you may freely eat of the tree in the garden, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you may not eat. For in it that day you shall eat of it, you shall surely die. That's clear as cut, plain as day. 18.
All right. Hold on. Pause. That's pretty much it. So I know the question is, well, how is idolatry coming from here? Okay, so when the Most High said you can eat of every tree in the garden, but do not eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, we're going to see pretty much what this tree is. Now, I was going to do a whole entire lesson on this, but I decided not to. If the Most High leads me to do it one day, I will. I'm just going to show you a little bit of it, right? But before I do, I want to say trees are likened to people, and then trees are also likened to something else, right? When you're consuming or when you're participating in this consumption or taking this thing in, that's actually, obeisance. Because
I know where you're going. I know exactly where you're going.
Okay, because obeisance, it includes, you're prostrating yourself before you're prostrating yourself before an image, right? That's idolatrous practices, right? You can also partake in offer sacrifices to idols, eating before idols and drinking before idols. But eating is just much more than consumption of food. It's also consumption of something else, or when you're intaking in, or you're actually, let's say, participating in it. But when you do show your reverence for the Most High Yahweh, these practices and how He tells you to worship and serve Him with these particular things, that lets people know and ultimately Him know whose you belong to. You see the different activities, behaviors we get into, and the different things we do, or the different type of products we use, or some type of concoction of the products we use. The Most High actually specifies that. So there's no he actually makes a distinction. He makes a distinction between what He likes and what all the rest of these Elohim like, because He's making a difference between Himself and other Elohim. So, okay. So Genesis 2:16-17, it says, eat of every tree of the garden, but don't eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So let's go to Genesis 3, verses 1-7.
Yep, I know exactly. Yeah, I'm already there with you.
Yeah.
Verse 1, and the serpent was cunning above every animal on the field which Yahweh God had made, and he said to the woman, is it true that God has said, you shall not eat from any tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the middle of the garden, God said, you shall not eat of it, nor shall you touch it, lest ye die, or you die. And the serpent said to the woman, here we go, you shall not surely die, for God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as God, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw it, that the tree was good for food, and it was pleasant to the eyes. And the tree was desirable to make one wise. And she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed leaves of the fig tree and made girdles for themselves.
All right. So pretty much this is a form of idolatry, because the serpent was obeyed rather than the Most High Yahweh Elohim, right? Now, trees are likened to people, right? Trees are likened to people, but what comes from trees is likened to something else. So we're going to see that. Turn to Judges chapter 9. Judges chapter 9, B.A.
I'll go to the parable. Okay.
Judges chapter 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with this one, too.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Very cool.
Judges chapter 9.
Start in verse 8, and I'm going to have you read all the way to verse 15.
All right, and it reads, the trees went forth to anoint a king over them, and they said to the olive, reign over us. And the olive said to them, should I cease from my fatness by which they honor God and man, and go to hold sway over the trees? And the tree said to the fig, you come reign over us. And the fig said to them, should I cease from my sweetness and my good fruit, and go to hold sway over the trees? And the tree said to the vine, you come reign over us. And the vine said to them, should I cease from my new wine, which rejoice God and man, and go hold sway over the trees? And all the trees said to the bramble bush, you come reign over us. And the bramble bush said to the trees, if you truly anoint me king over you, come seek refuge in my shade, and if not, let fire come out of the bramble bush and burn up the cedars of Lebanon.
All right, so trees are likened to people, and as you see here, they're definitely likened to kings.
Exactly.
So kings have, a kingdom, right? But then you have, out of the kingdoms, you have rules. So what comes off of trees, and then what are those rules? We'll see. Proverbs 27 and 18. Read that for me real quick. Proverbs 27 and 18.
Proverbs 27. We'll pick up at verse 18. And it reads, 16, 17. The keeper of the fig tree eats its fruit. So he keeping his master is honored.
All right. So in the ISR it says, he who tends the fig tree eats its fruit, and he who guards or keeps his master is glorified. Right? So keeping and guarding. What does that sound like?
Abide.
He who tends the fig tree, right, eats its fruit. Now I'm going to do something real quick here. Let's see. He shall keep it the fig tree. He shall keep it the fig tree. Excuse me. He who tends the fig tree, or he who keepeth the fig tree, shall eat the fruit thereof, so that he waiteth on his master, shall be honored. That's in the KJV, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what does that sound like? He who keepeth the fig tree. Let's go to Leviticus 18.
Leviticus 18. Back to the Torah.
Read verse 4 and then read verse 30.
Verse 4, Leviticus 18, verse 4. You shall do my judgments, and you shall keep my statutes to walk in them. I am Yahweh your God. Let's skip down to verse 30.
Yep, go ahead.
And it reads, and you shall keep my charge, so as not to do any of the disgusting customs which were committed before you, and you shall not defile yourselves with them. I am Yahweh your God.
Okay. So in Proverbs well, with Judges 9, we saw that fig trees were likened to people, and, they were going back and forth talking about who's going to reign over us, right? The tree, which tree is going to reign over us, or which kingdom is going to reign over us. So this tree was likened to a king. The king has rules, and then went to Proverbs 27, verse 18, right? It says, whoso tends the fig tree, or whoso keepeth the fig tree, shall eat the fruit thereof, right? So when you go to Leviticus 18, it sounds like this: and you shall keep my laws and my judgments. You shall guard my laws and my judgments. So whoso keepeth the fig tree, whoso guardeth the laws. The fig tree. The commandments. The commandments are the leaves that come off the tree. Right? And then the fruit is the produce, the product, or the result. Right? So idolatry in Genesis chapter 3 pretty much is when you take on the fig tree of somebody else other than the Most High Yahweh Elohim, you take on the commandments of some other being other than the Most High Yahweh Elohim. That's idolatry.
I agree.
Okay. So then maybe somebody has to go back and look at that connection, right? But all right. So once again, number 319-527-6239, 319-527-6239. Press 1 to talk. You can ask questions, give your comments or concerns anytime throughout this conversation here about idolatry, right? So let's talk about a couple of idolatrous things, and pretty much a lot of the kings got involved in idolatrous practices. But then I'm going to go into some history about one of the practices. There was some illicit or immoral things. Sometimes people equate that to some sort of sexual immorality, but illicit behavior can also just mean anything in opposition to the Most High, Yahweh. So we're going to look at those. B80. Let's see. Go to Isaiah chapter 3.
Isaiah chapter 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to the prophets.
Yeah, we're going to go to the prophets.
Most definitely read about idolatry and the prophets. They talk about it a lot. So we have Isaiah chapter 3. What verse?
Just for the sake of time, let's just start at verse 16. And,
16.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, 16 all the way down to the end.
16, it reads, and Yahweh says, because the daughters of Zion are proud and walk with stretched out necks and wanton eyes, walking and menacing as they go, and making a twinkling with their feet. Therefore, Yahweh will make the crown of the daughter of Zion scabby. Okay. And Yahweh will lay their secret parts bare. And that day the Lord will take away the beauty of the anklets and the headbands and the crescents, the pendants, and the next page. Bracelets and the veils, the headdress and the leg ornaments, and the sashes and the houses of the soul, and the amulets, the rings and the nose jewelry, the festival apparel, the festal apparels, and the outer garments, and the mantles, and the purses, the mirrors, the fine linen, and the turbans, and the veils. And it shall be instead of a smell of perfume, there shall be an odor of decay, and instead of a sash, a rope, and instead of well-set hair, baldness. Instead of well-set hair, baldness. Instead of a rich robe, a girding of sackcloth, bumming instead of beauty. Your men shall fall by the sword, and your mighty in war. and her gate shall lament and mourn, and she shall sit bare on the ground. Whew.
Right. So I know some people use this passage, for promoting another doctrine we won't get into today, but
yeah.
Verse 8 says, "For Jerusalem has stumbled and Yehudah has fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against Yahweh, to provoke the eyes of his glory." Right? Pretty much what they're doing is getting told they're going to be punished by the Most High Yahweh, because the leaders are making them go astray. All right. In the Greek, in the Septuagint, verse 12, it says something different. But in the scriptures, ISR, I'll read it first. It says, "My people, youth exert pressure on them, and women rule over them." Well, in the actual Hebrew, the actual word, there's another rendering. It's no-sheen. And no-sheen is extortioner, right? No-sheen are extortioners, people who, lend to you as creditors and charge you interest, right? And the word for says when youth exert pressure on you, pretty much is exactors. Exactors are stripping you. They're putting pressure on you. So the Most High said he's going to punish Israel with stripping their pockets, because they have stripped the people's pockets, right? They have lended on credit, which they're not supposed to. They're not supposed to charge their brethren credit, right? Only the outside people who they trade with, right? Other nations they can charge interest on or usury on, and we'll get more into that. So that's qualified. Go ahead, Pierre.
No, I can read from the Septuagint. I have my Septuagint on deck.
Yeah, go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
"O my people, your extractors strip you, and extortioners rule over you. O my people, they that pronounce you blessed, led astray, and pervert the path of your feet."
Right.
Yeah.
So that could be looked at as illicit or immoral behavior, right?
Exactly.
So we're going to look at also another type of illicit or immoral behavior, as I said, sexual. But sexual sexual immorality is likened to immorality as a whole, and we're gonna see some things right quick. It's kind of crazy that I was blessed a little bit by the Most High Yahweh to see this, but you got to look into it. Let's go to Leviticus 18. You over there flipping, huh?
Oh, yeah. Leviticus 18.
Verse 21.
21. And it reads, let's see, okay. "And you shall not give up your seed to set them apart to Molech, nor shall you pollute the name of your God. I am Jehovah."
All right, so the scriptures ISR version says, "And do not give any of your offspring to pass through to Molech. Do not profane the name of Yahweh. Do not profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahweh." Right? Read Leviticus chapter 20, verses 2 to 5.
And it reads, "And you shall say to the sons of Israel, any man of the sons of Israel and of the aliens who are living in Israel, who gives his seed to Molech, shall certainly be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with the stones. And I shall set my face against that man, and shall cut him off from the midst of his people. For he has given of his seed to Molech, so as to defile my sanctuary, and to pollute my holy name. And if the people of the land truly hide their eyes from that man, as he gives his seed to Molech, so as not to put him to death, and I shall set my face against that man and against his family, and shall cut him off and all who are whoring after him, even though whoring after Moloch from the midst of their people.
All right. So, the strangers and the children of Israel, any man or any human being, any mankind found to be giving offspring to Molech, that one shall be put to death. That does mean cut off. So anytime you see cut off, that means put to death. In verse 5, it says, I shall set my face against that man and against his clan, and shall cut him off, and all who go whoring after him, even go whoring after Molech. I hate saying that word, but that's what it is here in this translation, from the midst of their people. So anybody going after Molech, which is the god of the Ammonites and the Phoenicians, right? It's their chief deity. The Most High likens it to pretty much sexual immorality. Why? Because you belong to the Most High Yahweh. Mm-hmm. You said yes as a nation in Exodus 19, and then we heard the stipulations of the covenant in Exodus chapter 20. Right? And one of the first stipulations was what? Don't have any other Elohim or mighty ones before me, in front of me, against my face. Right? But what did Israel do? Let's go to 1 Kings, chapter 11.
Say that, what book are we going to?
1 Kings.
1 Kings, chapter 11. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. This is pretty much a long conversation. We got to do it, though. Got to do it, though.
1 Kings, chapter 11.
I'm going to have you read one verse, verse 7.
Okay. And it reads, verse 7. Then Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, and the hill that is before Jerusalem for Molech, the abomination of the son of Ammon.
All right. So what did Solomon do?
Oh boy, he built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab. So he pretty much going after or whoring after another god.
And who else did he build a high place for?
Molech. You know what the law say about that? We just read it.
Right. We just read it. Right? And so this is why the Most High said, verse 11, and Yahweh said to Shlomo, or Solomon, because you have done this and have not guarded or kept my covenant and my laws, which I have commanded you, I shall certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to your servant. Now, the Most High Yahweh didn't say, oh, okay, because you believe the prophet whose visions and dreams came to pass that I'm going to take the kingdom away from you. No. You went and you married all these strange women, these foreign women, and then you building high places for Chemosh, sending your offspring off to Molech, going, worshiping, serving another deity other than me, right? This is what the Most High Yahweh is saying. Well, I'm going to tear the kingdom away from you. This is the kingdom split. This is idolatry, right? Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 23. Yeah.
2 Kings chapter 23. Right.
I'm going to have you read one verse for right now. Read verse 4.
Verse 4. Hold on. Okay, there we go. And it reads, and the king commanded Helikah, the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the keepers of the door, to bring out from the temple of Jehovah all the vessels that were made for Baal, and for Asherah, and for all the host of the heavens, and he burned them at the outside of Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and carried their ashes to Bethel.
Okay, so pretty much Josiah was king at this time, and he said, look, priest Hilkiah, tell these people to bring out of the temple of the Most High Yahweh. What things are in the temple of the Most High Yahweh, B.A.? Objects that were made for Baal and for Asherah, right? Mm-hmm. For Asherah. Those are those pillars, those groves. Asherah is pillar and groves. It's also the female consort of Baal. And also likened to be the queen of heaven. And we're going to see some things about Asherah in a hot second that Israel was doing that the Most High did not like. Right? Read verses 6 to 10. 2 Kings chapter 23, verses 6 to 10.
Yep. And he brought out the Asherah from the house of Yahweh to the outside of Jerusalem, to the brook of Kidron, and burned it at the brook Kidron, and ground it to powder, and threw the powder of it on the graves. And threw the powder of it on the graves of the sons of the people. And he broke down the houses of the male prostitutes, that were in the house of Jehovah, where the women were weaving houses for Asherah, and he made.
Pause
I'm
real
sorry.
Quick.
Yeah.
Pause real quick. I know you laughed when you said that he broke down the houses of the male cult prostitutes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a study on this because I have to correct myself. I was pretty much probably not bringing forth correct information as to some research I did, and that is because the research I'm looking at has been passed down just from two Greek historians. But the first Greek historian, whom the second copied from, right? That first Greek historian, I'll say his name, Herodotus. He was the only one to have said there were some things that the cult prostitutes were doing, but I don't know if they're doing that because Herodotus never produced any artifacts, any archaeological evidence from any digs that the people he accused of doing these certain things, he never produced them, he never brought them forth. So I'm going to be doing some further research on what these cult prostitutes were and what they were actually doing, because I believe what we have been taught about what these cult prostitutes were doing, or why they even have the name translated as cult prostitute, came to be. I'll bring that up a little later. So I'm working on that. So praise be to Yahweh that he gave me the strength prayerfully that I get through that research. So yeah, so he broke down the houses of the we'll say male cult devotees at this time that were in the house of Yahweh, and where the women were weaving tapestries, coverings, or houses for the ash, right? What's that verse? That's verse 7.
Verse 8. Yeah, I'm on verse 8.
Okay, hold on real quick. Let's see. Okay, continue.
Verse 8. And he made come in all the priests. And he made come in all the priests out of the city of Judah, and defiled the high places where the priests burned incense, from Geba to Beersheba, and broke down the high places of the gates that were at the entrance of the gates of Joshua the governor of the city, which were on a man's left hand at the gate of the city. However, the priests of the high places did not come up to the altar of Jehovah in Jerusalem, but they were unleavened bread among their brothers. But they ate unleavened. Yeah, sorry, that was the R. My apologies.
No problem. Keep going.
Oh yeah, verse 10. And he defiled Topheth, and was in the valley of the sons of Haman, and so that no man could cause his son and his daughter to pass through the fire of Molech.
All right, so there were some. Okay, so these people, the king. Well, the king is telling the high priest to get these things up out of here. These devotees that are in the house of Yahweh, bringing these vessels in, these coverings, these tapestries, these housings, right? These housings are pretty much these images for Asherah, right? The priests of the high places, they didn't go to the altar in Jerusalem, right? But they ate unleavened bread among their brothers, and then defiled Topheth in the valley of Gehenna, right? So that no man, he defiled Topheth. Sorry. He defiled it means he tore it down. He got rid of it. Sorry. This is Josiah getting rid of it. He got rid of it so that no man can make his son or daughter or offspring go through the fire to the deity of the Ammonites and the Phoenicians, which was Molech, right? Right. So, let's see. Let's go to one more place, and then we'll go read something about Asherah. 1 Kings 15.
First Kings 15. I think I know what's going here.
Yeah, 1 Kings 15. Let's start from verse 9.
Verse 9.
Let's start from verse 8.
Verse 8, and it reads,
Mm-hmm.
And Abijam lay with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and his son Asa reigned in his place. And in the 20th year of Jeroboam, the king of Israel, Asa reigned over Judah, and he reigned 41 years in Jerusalem, and his mother name was Micaiah.
It says mother. It says mother or grandmother.
His mother.
Okay.
And his mother's name was Micaiah. I always pronounce that wrong. The daughter of Absalom.
Mm-hmm.
And Asa did that which was right in the eyes of Jehovah, like his father David. And he removed the Sodomites out of the land and removed all the idols that his fathers made. And he also removed his mother Micah from being queen, and that she made a horrid thing for Asherah. And Asa cut down her horrid thing and burned it by the brook of Kidron. But the high places were not removed, only the heart of Asa was perfect with Jehovah all his days.
All right.
And
Pause. Pause. All right. So Asa did what was right in the eyes of Yahweh, as his father David done. He put away the devotees, we'll say, from the land, and he removed all of the idols that his fathers made, right? He removed all the idols. So that word, let's see. That word, it means properly a log, L-O-G, log, round by implication and idol. So a log pretty much is like a wooden thing that could be carved, right? And so he also removed Ma'aka, his mother. Some translations say grandmother, from being queen mother, because she made an abominable image for Asherah, right? She made an abominable image for Asherah, right? So he removed. She made an idol, a horrid, horrible thing, pretty much an idol, right, for Asherah. I'm going to read something about Asherah. And Asherah worship was really, really, really heavy. We see worship to Baal. We see passing your sons and daughters to Molech. We see people such as Solomon making a high place for commotion. All these other deities and mighty ones that the Most High Yahweh said, do not bow down to them nor serve or worship. They don't have eyes to see. They don't have ears to hear. They don't have mouth to eat. They don't have mouth to talk. I'm reading from a book called Yahweh and the Sun by J. Glenn Taylor. You can get this on PDF. Scribed, SCRIBD. And it says there was a cult stand found during 1968 at the excavation at Tel Ta'anak. That's in 1 Kings chapter 4, Ta'anak, on the southern side of the valley of Jezreel, 5 miles southeast of Megiddo, right? And this cult stand, it had 4 tiers, right? Had 4 tiers. So the pillars, they had lionesses and cherubim on these tiers, and they quote unquote house the deities represented by the winged sun, SUN, above the quadruped. A quadruped is like a mammal in the horse family, right? So this quadruped was on tier number 1. And on tier number 2, there was a sacred tree. The sacred tree is the grove, right? Is the Asherah. And then on tier 4, there is a nude female. Okay? The same deity, Asherah, is represented in tiers 2 and 4. Okay? So figures of the sacred tree in tier 2 and the nude female in tier 4 are 2 common ways of representing Asherah. So Asherah is referred to as the lion lady, and it corresponds with lionesses chosen to flank the deity on these 2 tiers. Okay? Now, I mentioned tier 1, I mentioned tier 2, and I mentioned tier 4. Let's go to tier 3. So in tier 3, the deity between the 2 cherubim is absent. Let me say that again. In tier 3, on this cult stand that was found in Ta'anak, right? Tier 3, that deity between the 2 cherubim is absent. Question says, what Semitic deity might be represented at Israelite Ta'anak in the late 10th century BCE by an invisible deity posed between 2 cherubim? Let's look at it. CA, pick up 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 15.
2 Kings. You know, so I have a historical source as well about the different idols around this time period as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. But there's one in Asherah, and most definitely is mentioned in this historical source I have here at the house that I've been reading through as of late. But let me just, you said chapter 19, right?
Yep, 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 15.
Verse 15. And it reads, and Hezekiah prayed before Jehovah and said, O Jehovah, the God of Israel, who sits above the cherubs, you are God himself, you alone. To all the kingdoms of the earth, you have made the heavens and the earth. Keep going.
Yeah, finish that out.
16. O Jehovah, incline your ear to hear. Incline your ear and hear. O Jehovah, open your eyes and see and hear the words of Sennacherib, with which he has sent him to reapproach the living God. Truly, O Jehovah, as the kings of Assyria have laid waste the nations and laid their lands and have put their gods into the fire, for they were no gods, but the work of the hands of man, wood and stone, and have destroyed them. And now,
right.
O Jehovah. So, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can pause right there. Read me one more verse, Isaiah chapter 37, verse 16.
Isaiah 37.
So one verse,
16?
Isaiah chapter 37, verse 16.
16. And it reads, hold on, here we go. Okay. Verse 15, no, verse 16 there. Hold on for a second. Okay, all right. O Jehovah of hosts, God of Israel, who dwells between the cherubs, you are he God. You are he, God. You alone to all the kingdoms of the earth. You have made the heavens and the earth. Bow down your ear, O Jehovah, and hear. Open your eyes, O Jehovah, and see and hear all the words of Sennacherib. I can't get that right.
Yeah,
where she has.
It's all good. Just one verse, 16.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That was just 16. That was 16 and 17. It's all good.
Yeah, I just had you read verse 16. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we see this Asherah worship was prevalent, as we see an artifact, archaeological artifact found at Tanakh that had 4 tiers, and the second tier and the fourth tier represented Asherah, and then that third tier in between the cherub but was missing, it's absent, was representative of Yahweh. And so we see that Israel definitely had an issue with idolatry. They made these images, they made these cult stands, and within the cult stands, they had these representatives that the Most High told them not to make, not to bow down to, not to worship. Right? All right. Let's see. Might give some more examples of that, but bloodshed and murder. Let's read something about bloodshed and murder. Bloodshed and murder is also likened to idolatry. We'll talk about that in a hot second here. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 21. Read verses 1 to 16, DA, and then I'm going to have you pull out your apocrypha.
2 Kings chapter, what was it again?
21.
21, okay.
Yep, 2 Kings chapter 21, verses 1 to 16.
1 through 16. Okay, and it reads, Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem, and the name of his mother was Hezbiah. And he did evil in the eyes of Jehovah according to the idolatries of the nations that Jehovah expelled from before the sons of Israel. And he built again the high places that his father Hezekiah had destroyed, and raised up altars for Baal, oh boy, and made a shrine as did Ahab the king of Israel, and worshipped all the hosts of the heavens and served them. And he built altars in the house of Jehovah, of which Jehovah had said, in Jerusalem I will put my name. And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in 2 courts of Jehovah's house. And he made his son to pass through the fire. Oh, wow. used magic and used divination, and dealt with mediums and soothsayers. He expanded the work, the evil in the eyes of Jehovah to provoke him to anger. And he set a graven image of Asherah, that he made in the house of which Jehovah had said to David and to his son Solomon, in this house and in Jerusalem that I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, I will put my name forever, and I will not again make the feet of Israel wander any more out of the land which I gave their fathers, only if they observe to do according to all that I command them, and to all the law that my servant Moses commanded them. But they did not listen. And Manasseh caused them to do evil above the nations that Jehovah had destroyed from before the sons of Israel. And Jehovah spoke by his servant the prophets saying, because Manasseh the king of Judah has done these abominations, doing more wickedly than all that the Amorites did which were before him, and had made Judah also to sin with his idols. Therefore says Jehovah, the God of Israel, behold, I am bringing evil on Jerusalem and Judah, so that whoever hears of it, the two ears shall single. And I will stretch out over Jerusalem. Say it again.
The ears shall tingle.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You said the ears shall single. It's tingle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. The two ears shall tingle, and I will stretch over Jerusalem the line of Samaria, and the plummet of the house of Ahab, and shall wipe Jerusalem as one wipes a dish. He wipes and turns it on its face, and I will forsake the remnant of my inheritance, and give them into the hand of their enemies, and they shall be for a prey and for a spoil to all their enemies, because they have done evil in my eyes, and have provoked me to anger from the day their fathers came out of Egypt, even to this day. And also Manasseh has shed very much innocent blood, till he has filled Jerusalem from mouth to mouth, apart from his sin, that he caused Judah to sin, to do evil in the eyes of Yahweh.
All right, I know that was a lot to read, but you see Manasseh, right? Manasseh,
Yep.
He did a lot of the idolatrous practices that the Most High said do not do in Deuteronomy 4, right? And the Most High said he was going to give Judah and Jerusalem into the hands of their enemies, like he said he would do in Deuteronomy 4, right? So Manasseh, what did he do? He made high places for the Baal and the Asherah. He made the offspring pass through the fire to Molech, and he caused bloodshed. Now, I know people look at murder and bloodshed like physically taking someone's life to where they can't breathe again. They got to be 6 feet deep. There's also another element or aspect of bloodshed, and we're going to read that right now. So go to the Apocrypha, which is Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiasticus, chapter 34. Let's start from verse 18, and I'm gonna have you read to verse 22. So Ecclesiasticus chapter 34, verses 18 to 22.
Okay, I'm reading from an annotated, the New Oxford, so it may read a little different. But I don't have my other Apocrypha on me at this moment.
You want me to read it? I got it. No,
okay, if you don't mind.
Okay. All right, so it says, he that sacrifices of a thing wrongfully gotten, his offering is ridiculous, and the gifts of unjust men are not accepted. The Most High is not pleased with the offerings of the wicked, neither is he pacified for sin by the multitude of sacrifices. Whoso bringeth an offering of the goods of the poor doeth as one that killeth the son before his father's eyes. The bread of the needy is their life. He that defraudeth him thereof is a man of blood. He that taketh away his neighbor's living slayeth him. And he that defraudeth the laborer of his hire is a blood shedder. So bloodshed or murder is also likened to what Ecclesiasticus just said. You asking somebody to labor or work for you, you said you're going to hire them and pay them, and you did not, because their bread is their life. That's how they sustain. That's how they maintain. That's how they uphold and survive. And I know there was something that I brought out when I brought up the lesson Yeshua's replies to first century rabbis. I brought up what Hillel came up with. It's called the Prosbul, and it was a roundabout way so that the people who allowed their brothers to borrow always had to repay the debt and not be released in the time of 7 years of Jubilee, right? Let me see if I don't have it on deck. Yeah, I do. Well, let's see. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But Hillel came up with that. So it circumvented the biblical law that remitted debts during the sabbatical year. And it transferred that creditor's claims to the court so that the court will always try to get money from the borrower instead of being released after 7 years. Because let's Deuteronomy 15. Let's see, Deuteronomy 15, starting in verse 1, it says, at the end of every 7 years you make a release. And this is the word of the release. Every creditor is to release what he has loaned to his neighbor. He does not require it of his neighbor or his brother, because it is called the release of Yahweh. Of a foreigner, you could require it, but your hand is to release whatever is owed by your brother. So that's a form of idolatry because you're being greedy. You're being greedy because you don't have to. It's saying you don't trust the Most High Yahweh. You're actually going to serve the God of Mammon and actually want your money back instead of, having the Most High take care of your needs. Just release the people, and the Most High Yahweh, if you trust him and have faith in him, he's going to do what he said he's going to do, and you're going to have, everything you need. You're going to have clothes, you're going to have food, and you're going to have sustenance. You're going to have a roof, right? So with that being said, that's another form of idolatry there that a lot of people probably don't look at as a form of idolatry, but bloodshed or murder is likened to not paying somebody their wages or their hire.
I got another example, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
We got Jeremiah chapter 22.
Yeah.
And it reads, I'm going to read it 13. Woe to him who builds his house by unrighteousness, and his upper rooms by injustice, who makes his neighbors work for nothing, and does not give them their wages, who says, I will build myself a spacious house with large upper rooms, and who cuts out windows for it, paneling it with cedar and painting it with vermilion. You are a king, because you compete in cedar. Did not your fathers eat and drink? Did your father eat and drink and do justice and righteousness? And it was well with him. He judged the cause of the poor and the needy. Then it is well. Is this not to know me, saith Yahweh? But verse 17 is the cold part.
Yep.
But your eyes and your heart are only on your dishonest gain, for shedding innocent blood, and for practicing oppression and violence.
Yeah. Also, it says, but your eyes and your heart are only on your greedy gain, on shedding innocent blood, and oppressing. Oppressing the people is doing violence. You're oppressing them. You're not giving them a way to take care of themselves and their family. They're actually probably going to starve. And starvation, leads to what? Death. That's why it's likened to murder and bloodshed. Right? And so, as a result of this, I'm going to read verse 24. It says, as I live, declares Yahweh, though Jeconiah, son of Jehoiakim, king of Yehudah, were the signet on my right hand, I will still pull you off from there, and I shall give you into the hand of those who seek your life, and into the hand of those whose face you fear, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel, in the hand of the Chaldeans. When the Most High said he was going to scatter the people, why? Because of idolatrous practices that the Most High said do not do in Deuteronomy 4.
Yep. Because when they started serving other gods, it changed the way they conducted themselves amongst each other. See, idolatry is deeper than just looking at some type of different deity with a weird name.
Right.
It's your actions. It's your thoughts and the way you move, how you're active, your motives, how you start being greedy. Like, if you don't mind, sis, can we go back to Genesis chapter 3? I want to look at something real quick.
Yep.
Let's go to Genesis chapter 3. I don't know if you were going to bring this out, but this came to mind. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3. Pull out the King James. I want to look at something real quick. Let's go to verse 4. Genesis chapter 3, verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman.
Chapter 3, verse 4.
Yes,
okay,
verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. But verse 6, the kicker. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. I want to look at this word pleasant. Check this out, because you brought something up. Pleasant in the concordance, where the word is, I was just there. Come on, where's
Tov?
that? Say it again.
Tov?
Yeah, what's the number? Is that 83?
Or pleasant. Pleasant, my bad. Tov is 2896. We're talking about pleasant. Pleasant 8378.
8378. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I was just there. And check this out. Satisfaction, a delight. Also, let me go back. A longing, a delight, satisfaction, a charm, desire. But here's the words we were using a little earlier. Lust, greed, pleasant, dainty, exceedingly lusting. This is a form of idolatry too, because Eve understood the true and living, but she wanted to put herself to be wiser than the true and living, who told her what is life and what is death. That is also idolatry.
Yeah, putting trust in yourself. Well, trust yourself, but you're not supposed to trust yourself more
over
than
the Most High
Yahweh, from which you came.
Exactly.
Period. Yeah. I want to bring something up too, B.A. You said lust. Lust is a desire likened to covetousness. And, when I was growing up Baptist, right, I was like, man, they teach us these 10 commandments, but they don't ever tell us what the word covetous means. It's like just wanting something just to want it and not even needing it. Sometimes you just want it because somebody else got it, or you just want something and you want something because you see somebody else with it, but you don't want it. You don't want that other person to have it either. You just want it for yourself, But that's the type of covetousness that we can see sometimes, right? Or that we can get into sometimes. Covetousness, lust, right? So actually, covetousness goes along with the first commandment of do not have any other gods before me.
Mm-hmm.
It goes hand in hand. But let's go to Exodus 34 real quick.
Exodus
and while
34.
we're going to Exodus 34, I'm going to remind the callers, and if Vinny D is still in there, he can come on in. 319-527-6239. Again, 319-527-6239. Press the one to talk with your questions or concerns, or just comment. Right? So Exodus 34, and then I'm going to link something with Exodus 34. So Exodus 34, verses 13 to 16. Read that for me, B.A.
Yep. But you shall cut down their altars, break their images, and you shall cut off their Ashtarim.
Mm-hmm.
For you shall not bow down to another God, for Jehovah, whose name is jealous, he is a jealous God. Tihat, you not cut a covenant with the people of the land and play the whore after their gods, and they sacrifice to their gods. And one call to you, and you eat from his sacrifice. Hold on, let me read that one more time. I got it kind of off. The word is tahat in this translation. I don't know what it says in yours.
Okay, so let me. Okay, so verse 14 says, "Don't bow yourselves to another mighty one, for Yahweh, whose name is jealous, is the jealous El, lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land." Go ahead, B.A. Let's go ahead and make
now 15 says.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 15 says Tihat. I don't know what that is. You not cut a covenant. Okay, then maybe that's a misprint or something, or a typo.
It was lest you make a covenant.
Okay,
lest
so it's probably a typo.
I already said that part. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm. With the people of the land and play the whore after their gods, and they sacrifice to their gods, and one call to you, and you eat from his sacrifice. Unless you take from their daughters, for your sons and your daughters whore after their gods, and they lead your sons after their gods. You shall not make for yourself cast gods.
Right. So pretty much when you go and you bow yourself to another mighty one and you serve them, you're making an agreement with them. Most High is likening it to harlotry, lust. Right? Lust. He's likening it to harlotry, lust. Let's look at that word 2181. To commit fornication, be a harlot. To commit adultery, says be a co-prostitute. Also said co-prostitute is a devotee. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So remember what I was saying before, that some of the idolatrous practices you can get into is, you know, when somebody is sacrificing or having food and giving it to their mighty ones, right? They're having this food in honor of their mighty ones, and then when you are invited to partake and eat of those sacrifices offered to other mighty ones, that's called harlotry, idolatry. Lust, desiring, coveting. Just because you see somebody else with it, you want to do it, and you think it's okay. So the Most High likened, you know, and this is why I explain to people, I do love you, but I don't come over, you know, during the holidays because I might, you know, be encouraged or influenced to partake in the food that you have cooked in honor of this day's deity.
Yeah.
Because I know Yahweh, my Elohim, that deity didn't create that day, or nothing similar or nothing like it, you know, and pretty much tells me not to get involved in anything that's definitely not in honor to him and him only. Right? But go to Numbers chapter 25 and read verses 1 to 3. Because this is likened to Exodus 34. The Most High said, don't get into this idolatry here. You think it's just food. Right? I was told that. I don't know. I don't know if you remember, but I I was around a whole congregation of people, and the person in front said, well, it's okay if you eat a meal that's made in honor of Christmas. It's just food. They said it's just food. And what we see right here in Exodus 34 and Numbers 25, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to say nothing. I'm just going to slowly exit stage left. You know? I exited stage left because of what I saw in the text. Yeah. Yep. And so you read Numbers chapter 25, verses 1 to 3 for me, B.A.
Most def. Verse 1. And Israel lived in Shittim, and the people began to fornicate with the daughters of Moab, and they called the people to the sacrifices of their gods. And the people ate and bowed themselves to their gods. And Israel was joined to Baal Peor, and the anger of Jehovah burned against Israel. The anger burned against Israel. Mm-hmm. This is likened to idolatry. Mm-hmm. Eating with people who practice this stuff, who make sacrifices of food to other deities who are not Yahweh Elohim, right? And you join yourself to them by eating in that, partaking in that, consuming that. That's idolatry. According to what we define idolatry as from the text, right? Avodah, foreign worship, strange worship, right? It's another deity, another mighty one, another power, another ruler, judge, whoever, that is not the Most High Yahweh. You only came from the Most High Yahweh. And so your devotion, your obeisance, your reverence, your dedication, your bowing down, your prostrating before is only supposed to be from the Most High Yahweh, because Yahweh is the one whom created you. And he created you for his glory, as Isaiah chapter 43 says. Mm-hmm. B.A., you got anything else to add? Because we pretty much covered everything we need to cover about idolatry, and hopefully, like I said, people are encouraged to go back, seek, study, and re-examine and prove the text, or just go back and ask the Most High for some more guidance and knowledge and understanding and wisdom than what we brought out. No, just I would just like to say that when you do research, also look up these different gods we mentioned today. We mentioned Shemash, Baal, Ashtoreth. Then you have Ashtoreth.
It's the same.
Look up. Yeah, I mean, that is true. That is true. And but another thing I want to mention is that when you look up these guys and see what type of actions or what type of ability that the people who worship them believe they had, like when you read when it comes to Baal, he was considered to be the god of rain and agriculture. And we know in the book of Kings, we know in the days of Elijah, Baal was, that type of worship was supreme. That was the most popular worship at the time, and we know at the time of Elijah there was a famine as well. So there's some things there that there's some connections as far as what was going on socially with Israel and why the people were under certain conditions, because they decided to worship these other guys or be influenced by these other nations. And when they did that, they were punished by the Most High. That's why they had the famine. So, right, because they were doing things, and then we know that when Israel took upon these other deities, they started changing up their ways. They started doing things that was contrary to what they understood in the Torah. So it's very imperative that we look up these different gods, not to worship them, but understand why. Understand that these are gods of the other nations, and understand that these worshiping these other gods, these other nations, was the main thing that got Israel in trouble. Because first it started with the worship, and then Israel started getting cutthroat amongst themselves, and that's what the Most High really did not want to happen. That's why his anger burned against
Right.
Israel when they went to other deities or to other peoples. I
Right.
just want to mention.
Yeah, and they went into captivity, and their land was trodden down, and first temple destroyed. Right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. We have a caller. On the last few minutes of the segment, so we'll go ahead and let him on in, Sal.
Hey, shalom, y'all. It's me again.
Benny.
Excellent. All right. Yeah, I was going to say excellent lesson. Powerful information. And so what I wanted to also mention, too, is it didn't just have to be something that Israel made up on their own. It could have been something like, I'm going to just read it, Numbers 21:8. It says, Then the Lord said to Moses, make a snake and mount it on a pole. When anyone who is bitten looks at it, he will live. So Moses made a bronze snake and mounted it on a pole, or serpent, and mounted it on a pole. If anyone who was bitten looked at the bronze serpent, he would recover.
Right.
So now I'm gonna go to 2 Kings 18:4, and then you see what type of wickedness they deal with that. You know,
right?
They even gave it a name
right.
though.
Israel,
Oh my God.
That's Israel for you.
2 Kings 18:4. I'm gonna read from the Berean Study Bible. It says, He removed the high places, shattered the sacred pillars, and cut down the Ashereth poles. He also demolished the bronze serpent called Nehushtan that Moses had made, for up to that time the Israelites had burnt incense to it. Now they start calling this thing Nehushtan.
Right.
You know? So they had to destroy that thing because it turned into an idol. You know?
Yeah,
it's just like today, man. Anytime you see a miracle done by somebody, you want to automatically deify them, you know, instead of understanding, okay, maybe the Most High is using them or some other force is using them, you know, but whatever it is, they're doing these miracles, just like Paul, when he was out there prophesying and he was doing miracles. What they call him, Mercury. This is Mercury. He shot down from heaven, you know, and the other guy is who? Saturn, you know. He's like, no, man, no. Yeah, so you know, we deified things that we didn't even make anyway. We turned something that the Most High gave to us, you know, for repentance into an idol. And then also just to touch on your point about, you know, with the covetousness, that's true, because covetousness and pride leads to all sins. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
They lead to every single sin in there. You can go in there and cut all the examples out of there and find every example where they broke all those commandments, and you can see it was covetousness and pride, you know, that led them to do some powerful spirits, man, you know.
Right.
But, yeah, excellent lesson, but that's what I wanted to bring out. I just didn't want to destroy your lesson. That's why I didn't want to say it in the front, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, that was
no problem.
Powerful lesson, and, you know, a lot of edification going on. And all praises to the Most High.
All praise to the Most High. Thank you, Brother Vinny, for bringing that out. That just goes to show another example that the intention or the driving force or the motivation behind doing something makes the thing or object or event what it is. You see, like for example, I party. A lot of people have a problem with me partying, but a lot of my partying consists of good, wholesome people around me who share a lot of the times my same beliefs, but sometimes they don't. But for the majority, we believe in the same thing. But I'm around just to have a good time because, you know, we work all week, 40 hours, and we work hard, and we just want to sit back and relax and chill sometimes, or, you know, we have some food, and we have some adult beverages, you know what I mean? But certain type of parties, it's therefore a different intent. say, for example, if you having a party where everybody's finna start doing some swinging or whatever, you know what I mean? Nah.
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to be a part of that because the intent is to do some fornicating and some adultery, and that's not the type of party we're supposed to get into. But it doesn't mean we can't party. It doesn't mean we can't sit back and chill, you know, how I just did with BA this past weekend. Moms and everything, we chilling, and we having a good time just enjoying the California sunshine. you know what I mean? And so chuckling and laughing and enjoying ourselves, having a good time, just, you know, releasing the everyday stress of the past week. So it's the intent behind things to which we have to look at. It's the motivating force or factor behind the thing. I tell people it's the behaviors, practices, and the conduct that makes the event the event. You can call something whatever you want to call it, but it's what's going on. It's the activities. It's all sorts of recreational socialism going on within the event that make the event. So you have to look at the intent behind why you have this object. You have to look at the intent of why you have this bronze pole, for example. You know, I look at everything I have. I look at my house for shelter. I look at my car just to get me to A to B. You know what I mean? I don't look at it as nothing else because that's not what it's for. You know what I mean? I'm going to live without it. It doesn't make me, it doesn't break me. The Most High Yahweh gets my most allegiance because it's the Most High Yahweh who gives me the opportunity, the ability, the strength to get these things for myself so that I can take care of myself. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, y'all have a good night. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to finish folding these clothes. Shalom, BA. Shalom, sis. Shalom, Brother Sal. Y'all enjoy y'all night.
You too, brother. Much love to you.
All right, you too, bro. Thanks. Peace.
I want to say thank you all who listen now. Thank you all who will listen later. I love y'all with the love of the Most High. I hope your personal relationship grows stronger. I hope your understanding grows a little bit deeper, and your wisdom to apply these things, how and when, get to the utmost elevated level that the Most High wants it to be at. I thank Brother B.A. for reading. I thank Brother Sal for this platform once again, that the Most High put it on his heart to allow us this platform. All praise to the Most High. To the Most High be the glory. And I want to say, just this lesson, it just took me back and it just had me re-examine some things, like I said, reevaluate some things, and make sure my mind is steadfast, lined up with the Most High Yahweh and his intentions for my life so I don't go astray. So I want to thank y'all. I want to say I love y'all. And may the Most High continue to bless, encourage, uplift, and provoke you to seek and study and gain a personal relationship with him and just get closer and cling to him like the loop. Shalom, shalom, mishpahah, habarim. B.A., you got anything to say? Closing words.
Not much. All praise to the Most High in the name of his only anointed, magnificent, and the master teacher, Nazarene, known as Yeshua the Christ. Much love to Sal. We out.